Your positivity is killing your closing rate. What do I mean by this? Well, the best salespeople are positive people. There's just no doubt about that. I've met hundreds of top sales professionals over the last 15 years that I've been in sales management, and I can tell you that the best salespeople are positive people. Generally speaking, they're optimists. They're very, very positive. But what I learned really early on in my sales career is that positivity unchecked can really hurt your closing rate. Let me explain what I mean by this. So my very first sales job, I was, I think, 16 years old, and I got a job at a pet store. And in this pet store, one of the big ticket items that we would sell would be these saltwater aquariums. You've all seen these aquariums, like reef aquariums. They've got live rock in there, and they have anemones and beautiful fish and saltwater. You get the idea. So, we were really, incentivized and pushed like, hey, like we want to sell these big fish tanks to people that have enough money to buy them. And because not only that, once they would buy the fish tank, then they have to buy these, $30, $40, $60 fish, all the time. And so there's a lot of things like that. It's kind of an ongoing relationship. So what I realized early on is if I tried to be all positive and I was just selling these, fish tanks, and I'm like, what you need is this big tank here, and this is the best filter we have, and this fish is beautiful, and you need to get this and that and the other thing, I realized that I ran into a lot of resistance. And I found that I was in a constant battle to try to get my positivity to overcome the prospect's negativity, Well, I don't know if I need one that big, things like that. And so what I realized was that if I would sprinkle in some negativity and some honesty and things into my presentation, I found that I was able to earn their trust a lot faster, and I was able to help them make the right buying decision more quickly. So for instance, I might say things like, we would be looking at, maybe there's like 3 different sizes of an aquarium. So we'd look at maybe a 125-gallon tank, a 75-gallon tank, and a 55-gallon tank. So I might look at that and I would say something like, where are you going to put this tank? Because I really want to make sure that, I don't want you to have some huge fish tank in an area where it's not going to look good. That's not what we want. So I kind of look at these 3 tanks and envision them in your house. Where would you put them? And let's make the right decision as far as that goes, because I don't want you to have a huge tank in your house that you don't want. Now, when I would say that, what was so interesting to me is that about the same percentage of people would choose the different options as they did when I was pushing it. It's just that I would close so much easier down the road when I was trying to actually finalize the sale. So it's like the first thing we would start with was like the fish tank, and then you would choose the filtration system and all that. And so when I would present it that way and give them a little bit of a kind of again, it doesn't sound terribly negative, but it's just the idea of like, I'm understanding where you're coming from here. I'm not going to say, well, you need this 125-gallon, No. Like, what makes sense for you? Because I don't want you to have a negative experience. And I'm bringing up the possibility of a negative experience. You might get this tank home and you realize it's way too big. It doesn't fit in your foyer. It blocks the entrance, whatever. And this is not what you want. And so adding that little bit of negativity would help. Also, another example, sometimes we'd be looking at maybe 2 different filtration systems. One is $200, one's $150. I know the one for $150 will be fine for them. So I would say, you know what? I don't want you to waste your money. That $200 filtration system, that's just overkill. It's not even going to do what you need. I think this one for $150, I think save the $50. It's going to do plenty. You really don't need any of these extra features. So I could have pushed the 200 and maybe they buy that, but it makes it so much more difficult to continue. Once I've sprinkled a little bit of that negativity in or kind of that realism into it, all of a sudden now they're much more receptive to move forward with me. So how does this convert into things like selling merchant services or selling technology solutions? Well, the same thing applies here. You really want to present them with some options. Let them know that you are giving them the freedom to figure things out for themselves. You're not trying to push them into something because you're so positive it's the right solution. A lot of times you want to take a step back. Give people options, Hey, we do have several different options for you here. I don't want you to make a decision that you're not comfortable with. So which of these 3 options would you be most comfortable with? And you're giving them different options that they can choose from, right? When it comes to credit card processing, if you're just talking about the fees and the savings, what you would do is right off the bat, one of the things I always tell people is I say, look, if I'm not able to save you a lot of money, if I'm not able to offer you enough value where you want to switch, clearly you're not going to be interested, are you? So when you ask a question like that, that's actually a negative question. So I could have asked the question and say, if I'm able to save you a lot of money, you're going to be interested, aren't you? And they'd be like, maybe. And see how now we're antagonistic. But if I say, if I'm not able to save you very much money, you're not going to be interested anyway, are you? And they're like, no. And we're on the same page. We're not arguing, we agree. I'm like, exactly. So the thing is, you've got really nothing to lose here. All I'm going to do is I'm going to take a copy of a statement. I'm going to go back and do an analysis. If I can't save you any money, well, you're just going to say no. And I'm not even going to come back, actually, because I'm going to know that I can't save you money. I'll just call you and say, hey, you got a great deal. I can't save you any money. But if I can save you money, well, then we can have a conversation about that. So, but I start with that negative, and that negative gets them to agree with me by saying, sure, you're right. So the idea here is think through the negative implications, because what you have to understand is that your prospects, and it's funny as I'm saying this, I'm remembering back that I recently finished a book that talked about this a little bit as well. I think I mentioned it in a previous video. It's called Flip the Script. Checked out that book. I want to give credit where credit's due. Some of these ideas I think I got from that as well. But the idea here is you really want to understand that your prospect is searching for the negatives. Like if they're interested, they're searching for the negatives. Why shouldn't I move forward with you? What are the risks? What could go wrong? And so if you're like positive, 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 in their mind, they're like, what am I missing? What's the catch, right? But if you feed a little bit of that negativity to them, you're in control of the negative thoughts. The negative thoughts are going to come. So go ahead and give them the right negative thoughts, okay? Because otherwise they're going to be thinking, who knows what? They might be thinking this person's trying to, steal from me or some crazy scam or something, when really the negatives are like, is this the right feature for you or not? I don't want you to spend this extra $20 a month on this app with the Clover Marketplace if it's not going to help you out. So let me really explain what it does. You tell me if it's the right fit. You've got to find these little things like that you can actually make sure that you're feeding them some negativity so that their mind will go, okay, yeah, that is a negative, but I'm okay with that. Okay, that's a negative. I don't think I want to do that. I think I want to take this option. Lead them down this path where it's not this pure positivity all the way to yes, because that just doesn't really work. Instead, you want to take them down this path that seems like it has some bends in the road, some customization, some moving things around a little bit, because there are negatives. There are trade-offs. Explain those to them, but keep it within the context of we're moving forward with the deal, but how are we moving forward with the deal? This is a tough video to shoot. I actually don't know if I totally got my concept across today. Hopefully I did. Think about, though, how can you sprinkle some negativity and some realism into your presentation so that instead of your prospects thinking about all the negative things that could possibly happen, they think about the negative things you want them to think about, and you move forward together as they are making a decision with you to understand the right solution for them.